So today we're diving into something truly fascinating, the psychology of money. But look, this isn't about complex charts or hot stock tips. No, this is all about our own minds and how they can quietly be our own worst enemy when it comes to our finances. And it all really kicks off with this one kind of baffling question. Why is it that incredibly smart people who can read all the books, learn all the strategies, still make really bad decisions with their money?
Well, here's the thing. The biggest hurdle in finance isn't the stock market, it's not the economy, it's us. It's what's going on right between our ears. Our decisions feel completely rational to us simply because there are decisions. And that right there is the first trap.
All right, so let's start by taking a look at this hidden enemy, the one that's been with us our whole lives, our own past. You see, every single one of us lives inside what author Morgan Housel calls a personal experience bubble. Think about it. Everything you've personally gone through with money is just a teeny tiny sliver of all the financial events that have ever happened in the world. And yet that tiny sliver shapes almost 100% of how you think the world works. And this is so important. No one is crazy. That person you know who makes a money decision you think is just bonkers, they're not crazy. They're just playing a completely different game with a different set of rules, all shaped by a life story you've never lived. What seems totally irrational to you is perfectly logical inside their bubble. And that idea leads us right into our next big topic, the illusions of wealth. Because there is a huge, dangerous gap between looking rich and actually being rich. Looking rich, that's all the stuff you can see, right? The fancy car, the expensive watch, the big house. It's all about spending money. But true wealth? It's invisible. It's the money you haven't spent. It's the savings, the investments, the financial assets that are quietly growing behind the scenes. I mean, it's this crazy paradox of money, isn't it? The absolute fastest way to have less money is to spend it trying to show people just how much money you have. And this brings us to what's called the man in the car paradox. We think buying impressive stuff will make people admire us, but it almost never works that way. When you see someone in a Ferrari, you don't really think, wow, that driver is so cool. What you're really thinking is, wow, if I had that car, people would think I'm cool. You're just using their stuff as a mirror for your own desires. Okay, let's shift gears a bit and talk about two of the most powerful and, honestly, most uncomfortable forces in our financial lives, the unseen roles of pure luck and pure risk. So think about Bill Gates. Yeah, the guy is an absolute genius, no question. But his story also has this incredible one-in-a-million moment of pure luck. He just happened to go to one of the only high schools in the entire world that had a computer back in the 1970s. That gave him a massive head start. But then you have the flip side of that exact same coin. His friend, Kent Evans, was just as brilliant, just as driven, but he got hit with a one-in-a-million stroke of pure risk, a tragic mountaineering accident before he even graduated. Same potential, but wildly different outcomes, and neither of them was fully in their control. So what are you supposed to do in a world where luck and risk have so much power? Well, the game plan is pretty straightforward. You've got to be humble when you win, because luck definitely played a part. And you have to be forgiving when you fail, because risk was in there too. And crucially, don't just try to copy extreme success stories like Bill Gates. Their results might be impossible to repeat. Instead, study the broad, repeatable patterns that lead to success for many people. All right, this brings us to our final big idea, where we're going to tie all of this together and completely redefine what it actually means to win with money. And the very first step is to just let go of this idea that you have to be perfectly, coldly rational all the time. A spreadsheet doesn't have a panic attack during a market crash, but you might. So aiming to be reasonable works way better. A reasonable plan is sustainable because it actually accounts for human emotions, while a perfectly rational plan is fragile and often breaks under real-world pressure. So if that's the mindset, what's the goal? What's the new definition of wealth we should be shooting for? It's simple. It's not about having more stuff. It's about having more control over your time. True wealth is waking up in the morning and saying, I can do whatever I want today. It's freedom. It's options. And how do you build that kind of freedom? Just look at Warren Buffett. I mean, this number is just staggering. Over $156 billion of his net worth was earned after he turned 65. The vast majority of his wealth wasn't made because he was a once-in-a-generation genius, although he is.
It was made because he was a good investor for an insanely long time. So the big takeaway here is that the most powerful weapon in your financial arsenal, it isn't some crazy talent or secret knowledge. It's time. Compounding is like a force of nature, but it needs decades, not days, to really work its magic. So staying wealthy is all about survival and just letting time do the heavy lifting for you.
So in the end, the real goal, the highest form of wealth, it isn't some number in your bank account. It's the ability to wake up and control your own time. That freedom, that's the highest and most valuable dividend your money will ever pay.